Hi class, this is your Math 2 teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez. Today I'll be going over our mini online course on completing the square, which is part of our current quadratic functions unit. At this point, we've learned to factor quadratics, which help us specify the zeros of the function, allowing us to identify when objects in trajectory would hit the ground. Now, completing the square will allow us to change quadratic functions into its vertex form, which specifies the vertex of the function. In application, the vertex tells us the maximum height reached by objects in trajectory. So you will begin by going into the activity section. And in the activity section, we start off with a Desmos discovery activity. And with use of algebra tiles, you will discover the pattern for completing the square given certain algebra tiles. We will use this pattern to complete the square algebraically. I have also provided you with a link to the Desmos calculator, which you can use to graph quadratic functions that you are given, which is a way to check if your zeros are correct and your vertex is correct. I've also provided you with virtual algebra tiles. You can go ahead and click the link and use those algebra tiles at any time to help you solve any of the practice problems that we have for completing the square. After your discovery activity, make sure you do our Desmos activity discussion, where you're going to be providing your observations and conclusions made about the pattern using the algebra tiles. Next, I've published an instructional video on how to complete the square algebraically. Make sure you are logged in to Edpuzzle using your Google account. That is the way that I will be able to see your recorded answers at different checkpoints of the video. You want to make sure that you do this part so you can get credit for watching the video and answering the questions. I've also provided a link to Khan Academy completing the square studies, and it's great for extra support and practices. After the instructional video, I have created a Padlet where you would create your own example equation and solve it using completing the square. This will serve as a great resource of examples, but also if you look at yours and other classmates, you'll see which type of functions are the easiest to use completing the square for and which ones are not the best. Next, we need to make sure we practice, and we will do so through our MathXL. MathXL again is through our book, ebook that we have, and it's just assignments that are published for you to work on. Here are the directions to remind you on how to access MathXL. Make sure you complete these. You will receive feedback, immediate feedback on whether you are correct or incorrect. And you don't have to submit answers as soon as you answer it. It is providing me with your response. I have a mind map here, which is what we will be doing until the very end. We will all be working on completing this mind map. So far we've done factoring and completing the square. So we will add how we would use factoring in quadratic functions and how we would use completing the square in quadratic functions. So we will be adding to this, and which would be a great concept map for us to have at the end, and we will continue adding as we use quadratic formula, which is next. At the very end of our unit, you will be making your catapults, and here's the instructional video on how you would do that. But through our completing the square mini course, you also have a little quiz on here on PowerSchool on completing the square when a equals 1. Make sure you practice. You will have matching, multiple choice, and free response opportunities to demonstrate what you understand or what you don't, so you can ask for extra support. And that pretty much sums up our online course. At the end, make sure to provide feedback on our activities so that I can improve on the supports for this course of study. And don't forget to send me remind messages with your questions for the quickest responses. And also don't forget the course evaluation form, which is already embedded on here, which make sure you respond to at the end of the course. Thanks, guys. Bye.